My name is L'Oreal, and I am a breast cancer survivor. So I was 24 years old when I found out. I guess you could say that I was feeling a little touchy one day because I didn't normally do self breast exams. Like I didn't do it. But one day I felt a lump, and it was weird. Like it was just kind of like just this knot almost, and I was like, okay, that's weird. Didn't think too much about it. A couple days passed. I kept noticing it. It was still there, and I was due for my annual with my OBGYN soon thereafter. So when I went in for the appointment, I brought it up. I said, hey, I have a lump. Can you check it out? So he does my exam. He's like, oh yeah, I see what you mean. But you don't have a history, a family history of breast cancer or anything like that, and you're so young, so we will just go have an ultrasound done because I'm pretty sure it's a cyst. So I go have an ultrasound done, and I go back into his office for the results, and he said the ultrasound came back abnormal. Your family doesn't have a prior history of breast cancer, and with your age, it probably is just a cyst. So let's just get a biopsy just to be safe, as a precaution, and we'll go from there. So I meet with a surgeon, and she does a biopsy the same day, and then some days passed. Mind you, this was around Thanksgiving. So some days passed, and then I get a call the day that I'm supposed to fly up to New Jersey to be with my family for Thanksgiving. She calls me into the office. I go, and she's like, the results came back, and the tumor was malignant. And when she said that, it's literally like the world stopped. Like, just, you know, in movies how like they get bad news, and then people like they're in the office and they kind of tune everything out and everything kind of slows down, and they're just in their thoughts. Like that literally is exactly what I felt. First thing I thought of was, oh my God, I'll never have kids. I'll never be able to breastfeed my children. Like, just very like, the world is over. Woe is me. Like, how could this happen? I'm only 24. Like, it was tough. And so yeah, I went into the doctor's office, got that news, and then hopped on a plane to go visit my family. So where it gets interesting is that 7 months prior to, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and was doing chemotherapy and battling that. And so for me, the most difficult thing was telling him that I have breast cancer. And it shouldn't have been, I guess, something that I felt a burden, but it's a burden. When you have bad news to share that's going to impact the people you love, like, it feels like a weight. And then so here I am bringing this weight on Thanksgiving. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot, but I did it, and my family was supportive. And then I started my battle. My treatment plan was to have a lumpectomy. That's when they remove the tumor, any tissue surrounding the tumor, and then any of the lymph nodes that may have been compromised. Had that done about a month after my diagnosis. And then I had 6 rounds of chemotherapy. And chemotherapy is a cocktail of different medications that are targeted for cells that are fast growing. So cells go through a normal checkpoint where they grow and they're supposed to stop growing. But whenever a cell does not stop, it just grows and grows and is considered a cancer. And so with chemotherapy, the cocktail is not specific. It targets any cells in your body that are fast growing. So any kind of cancer cells that may be there, that are microscopic, that maybe can't be seen. So just to kind of verify and make sure that if there was something still left somewhere that wasn't taken out with the surgery, it'll target that. But it also targets your hair. So like fast growing cells like your hair, your nails. So kind of sucky side effects, but I got through it. And then the last treatment I did was radiation. So I did radiation for a series of, I think, 6 weeks. And that was my treatment. So lumpectomy, chemotherapy, and radiation. And I'm now currently on hormone therapy for the next 10 years. So 10 years of hormone therapy. To be young with breast cancer, it is a struggle. I think cancer has a face. You associate cancer with people that are older, kind of later in life. And so when someone is young and they get cancer, you're shocked. Everybody around you is shocked. Like, the doctors are shocked. Like, it's not a normal thing. Whenever I go into a facility for some kind of testing or for screening, they're like, oh my gosh, you were so young. But I would say that to be young with breast cancer, there's a certain amount of fear that is associated with it. It's just like that how factor, like, oh wait, you got breast cancer, we the same age, if you got breast cancer, that means I could get breast cancer. Or my mom's like, oh wait, you're younger than me, you got breast cancer, you're my child, that means so there's this fear that is associated with young people with breast cancer. I think also the fear of reoccurrence. That is something that I have had in the back of my mind always. And so my doctors are very, very aggressive in how they deal with me. I have to go get certain testing done every 6 months. Like, they're keeping a very close eye on me, just to make sure my estrogen levels are low. Another thing is in trying to plan to have children, like, I can't just go get knocked up accidentally. Like, I have to plan a family, because again, I'm at risk for reoccurrence. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but they say that to whom much is given, much is required. And so I think that although it's tough, it's not impossible. Some challenges that I faced during treatment, chemotherapy kicked my butt. Like, to not have had any real health issues, to never have broken a bone, to never have had to go to the hospital for anything, like, chemotherapy is a beast. And there's people that opt to not do chemotherapy, but just with me taking precautions and trying to prevent reoccurrence and to make sure that the cancer was indeed gone and would not come back, I opted to do chemotherapy. One of the side effects of chemotherapy is fatigue. Like, you go in, they stick you with needles, the cocktail, the drugs run through you for a couple hours, and then you go home. But it, like, depletes you of all energy. Like, you are so tired. You are so tired. And at this time, I had just started teaching, my first year teaching, and I didn't have the luxury of not going to work, so I would have chemotherapy on, like, a Friday, and then I would rest on Saturday, rest on Sunday, and then pray that I was able-bodied to go to work on Monday, but sometimes I was able to, sometimes I couldn't go back to work until Wednesday. So that was a big adjustment for me, not being able to just get up and do, like, feeling so tired, like, all of my energy, it took all of my energy just to get up and go to the bathroom. And that's another thing, you go to the bathroom all the time. Like, I had to drink a lot of water, but yeah, I would wake up out of my sleep, like, many times to go to the bathroom. Like, that was annoying. Radiation was a little easier. You just go in, they shoot the little beam at you, but it also makes you tired. So the greatest challenge that I felt was being tired. So, like, kind of like feeling like I'm not in control of my health. That was a tough part. Another thing would be my hair. So I had cut my hair prior to. Rihanna was popping, and so I had a little bob or whatever. My hair was relaxed, and so I was like, I was feeling it, like, you know, short hair, okay, by choice, cool. But then when I started chemotherapy, like one day I was just running my fingers through my hair and like literally a clump of hair came out. And I like panicked, and then like another clump, and so it was just like, oh, this is happening. Like this is happening. And so I shaved all my hair off, and then it continued to fall out, and I was bald. And I think that was difficult for me because it wasn't my choice. Like women, at least in my culture, like your hair is important. Your hair is a large part of who you are. For me to have lost my hair was tough, because now it's like I don't have anything to hide behind. Now I'm stuck with looking at myself in the mirror as I'm going through this, and I didn't look my best. Like I was sick, I was losing weight, like I looked sick. And then I was a teacher. I wasn't, in my first year of teaching, I wasn't prepared or skilled enough to have that dialogue with my kids. So I wore a wig so people wouldn't ask me questions because I didn't feel comfortable explaining that. Like health is private. It's a private thing. And you never know what people are gonna ask you, especially teenagers. They're not always the most formal about how they approach you with things. So I was wearing a wig. I would wear my hair I would take the wig off and I would just be bald on the weekends as I was going to and fro. And a lot of people stared at me. That's something I remember. Like, people would just stare. And I know it's not always common to see somebody without hair, and then people would ask me, can I touch your head? And they're just like, I don't know you. Why would you ask to touch my head weird? So, yeah, those were some challenges I faced. I definitely felt dark moments during that time. Like I said, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer prior to, and he passed away in January 19th of 2014. And I started chemotherapy on February 14th, 2014. So there was a lot I was dealing with in a very short span of time. I missed a lot of work due to being out because of my sickness, so that impacted my pay. I was having financial issues. At some points I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. I was in a very, 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 very unhealthy relationship at the time. Like, it was a lot. And the crazy thing is like, prior to, life had been pretty sweet. Like, I went to college, I graduated, had just moved into my own place, had started my first like official job. Like, life was sweet. And then like, bam, like just, it all came, I grew up like all at once. Like that adult life kind of hit me pretty hard. There were moments where I definitely didn't want to fight anymore. Like, I just didn't want to be here. I didn't want to deal with stress. I didn't want to deal with anything. So I definitely felt some dark moments. But God sustained me. I'm a firm believer that regardless of how I felt or I was feeling, there was some hope tucked away somewhere, and that kind of propelled me forward. Also the prayers of people. Like, a lot of people prayed for me. People who I never even met were praying for me, and so I'm confident that that's what really kind of propelled and pushed me through those dark moments. How did I lift my spirits? I went to church. I am a church girl, so just being in church, hearing the word, hearing hope, having my energy and my spirit kind of refueled, that helped me a lot. Adult coloring books were popular at the time, so I was coloring those. I would go outside and walk. I was writing down my thoughts in a journal, and I went to therapy. I'm fortunate in that my job gives us like 5 free therapy sessions within the network every year, and so I went and talked to a therapist, and with all of that, was able to kind of push through the circumstances. I feel good. I am tired a lot still. And like I said, I'm doing hormone therapy, so that plays a role in my fatigue. I was never a napper before, but now I love me a good nap. But overall, I feel good. I'm more aware of my emotions and how I feel. I didn't really understand the symptoms or the signs of depression until I was diagnosed with depression. And so now, like, as I'm moving through certain situations or when I'm having certain kind of moments when I don't feel my best, I can recognize, oh wait, let me do this so I don't go back to like a dark space. But overall, I feel way more ambitious. I feel like, it's weird to say, but I feel like if I was able to beat cancer, like, I can do anything. So I'm in my 6th year of teaching high school. I started a business. Like, I just feel like I'm more in touch with my faith and in tune with my faith. Like, I feel good. One of the main things I want people to know, or I guess if I could share information, would be if you feel like something is not right with your body, or if you feel like something just isn't right mentally with your body, whatever, don't be afraid to go see the doctor. I was my mom's only child, and so if I was coughing too many days or if I was sick, she ran me to the doctor, and that stayed with me through college and as an adult. And so catching it early detection was very crucial in my prognosis and how my treatment plan was laid out. Because if you don't recognize it sooner than later, then the possibility of spreading is the issue. And so I would definitely say to go to the doctor, to build a rapport with your doctors. I trusted my doctor, and so his recommendations, without a doubt, we hear, I understand you. So, and then he recommended me to a surgeon, etc. So I would definitely say to ask questions. If you're not sure of something, ask, what does that mean? There is a language that doctors have where they can say something and it makes sense to them, but to you who did not go to medical school, you don't know what they're talking about. And so I'm someone who asks questions. What does that mean? So how will that impact me? Is there another solution? So definitely ask questions. Something else, when you feel like life is just hard and when you feel like your circumstance is just insurmountable, understand and know that God is with you through everything. It may not look like it. It may not feel like it. He may be quiet, but God is with us through everything. I went through a lot in a short span of time, and to this day, I do not know how in the world I'm still partially sane. Like, I don't even know how I got through it, but I know that God was with me, and God kind of gives us grace to kind of push us through circumstances when we don't know how to get through them ourselves. So, yeah, have faith. My faith is stronger than it's ever been, and I was screaming at the top of the mountains. Like, I know that God is real. I know that God is real. There's no way that I would have gotten through having breast cancer at 24 years old, losing my father within the same couple of months. There's no way I would have gotten through that on my own. I would also say don't feel bad about questioning why me. There's a doctrine that is taught in my culture that you shouldn't ask why, and nah, ask why. Get upset, get angry, release that frustration and ask why. Life is not fair, but I don't think that we shouldn't be able to question certain things. And I think that although the answer may not come clear as day, God hears us. He hears us, and he comforts us. So yeah, if you're going through something and you just feel like you don't know how you're gonna get through it, have faith, because you will get through it. The victory is already ours. We just have to claim it. So that's what I would share.
I dedicate this song to recession, depression, and unemployment. This song's for you.
Today's a new day, but there is no sunshine. Nothing but clouds, and it's dark in my heart, and it feels like a cold night. Today's a new day, but where are my blue skies? Where is the love and the joy that you promised me? Tell me it's alright.
I'll be honest with you.
I almost gave up, but a power that I can't explain fell from heaven like a shower now.
When I think how much better I'm gonna be when this is over,